somebody's sister, a brother, father, a mother, a wife or a husband, a nephew, a cousin. They're looking for a little bit of love, hey. Somebody show them some love, hey. Why not you?
Why not? Why not? Why not?
Why not you?
Why not? Why not?
Why not you?
This is the Why Not crew, and all we asking is why not you? Come with the Why Not you. And on this occasion, give one donation, and you may not receive a standing ovation. Nah, your reward is so much better than that. No matter the black can replace the feeling of giving a second chance in life. The only second chance is price is your commitment. Man, it's your compassion. You can come and give it, there's no special form of fashion. Giving a child another chance to smile, just imagine. Or you can try not to.
Welcome to the Why Not Inspire show, where we inspire and uplift individuals to achieve their goals and dreams. This broadcast is brought to you by the Why Not Foundation, whose mission is to provide support to pediatric transplant patients, increase awareness about the need for organ and tissue donation, and promote disease prevention and wellness in the community. I'm your host and moderator, Edward Mr. Why Not Drake. I'm a former student athlete turned kidney transplant recipient, and now I'm the founder of the Why Not Foundation, youth needing organ tissue transplants, and a community investor. Now, I have the pleasure to introduce my fellow co-host, starting off with Mr. Nathan Hart. Please tell the world a little bit about you.
Hi, my name is Nathan Hart. I'm a senior in high school. I got my kidney transplant when I was 2 years old from my mom in 2004, and I'm looking to go to college next year, but I got my kidney transplant from my mom. And thank you, Ed, for having me tonight.
No problem. It's a pleasure to have you on again, Nathan. Now, we have a special guest, a special co-host. She's filling in tonight for Mr. Anthony McPhee. And hopefully, who knows, she may be a regular. Miss Kristin Robbins, tell the world a little bit about you.
Hi, I don't know if I'm going to do a good job as Anthony, but my name's Kristin Robbins. I actually got my transplant just a couple years ago in 2020. And before that, I was on dialysis for 10 plus years. I'm currently not in school. I'm trying to start my own business, looking into entrepreneurship, we'll see what happens. But yeah.
Nah, thank you so much, Kristin.
No problem.
We're excited. We have a special guest. And when I say a special guest, I know I say this every week, but this guy, he's a legend in my hometown. We're the same age, and I call him a legend, so he's really a legend. So, but before we get into the introduction of our special guest, Mr. Nathan Hart, please give the quote of the day.
Today's quote is from legendary NFL player Deion Sanders. If you don't believe in yourself, how will somebody else believe in you?
And what does that quote mean to you, Nathan?
I picked the quote because basically you have to first believe in yourself and have self-confidence and self-trust to do what you want to do in life, or else no one else will be able to believe in you because you can't believe in yourself. So you got to first have self-love and self-confidence before everyone else can see that and see the potential in you.
I love it. You're very wise beyond your years, but thank you, Nathan. Now, without further ado, like I said, once our budget get bigger, we're going to have a big old drum roll. But right now, this guy, man, he's, like I said, growing up, like I said, he's a legend. He's a community servant. Anytime I call on him, he's there. Mr. Fred Davis, tell the world about yourself, please.
Hello, world. My name's Fred Davis. I'm originally from Toledo, Ohio. I reside in DC and LA occasionally. I'm a former Redskin. Played, I would say where I played at in high school. I played at Toledo Rogers in high school. I went to college at USC, won a couple national championships, Pac-12 championships, won the Mackey Award there, the best tight end award in the country. Got drafted second round to the former Redskins, which are the Commanders now. Played tight end there for 7 years. Made pretty decent money. pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I mean, that's the self-explanatory small version of who I am. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could go longer, but I don't want to come out with my ego or anything. But yeah, basically that's what I do. And now I do charity foundations with kids, just like what you guys doing, trying to show kids that give back to the community, let kids know that anything's possible if you believe in yourself. So yeah.
No, awesome. And once again, thank you for being on this show. And the question that we ask all guests first is, what inspired you to take the path that you're on today, and what inspired you to achieve the greatness that you have achieved thus far?
I would say my inspiration came, I didn't play football right away as a little league guy or as 10 or 11. I didn't start playing football till like 13. I ran track, I played baseball. I was more of a baseball guy. My inspiration came, I guess it'd be more, I would say probably from my high school coach. Like I said, like you just said, Nate, if you don't believe in yourself, no one will believe in you. And my first year in high school football, which I didn't play freshman football, I played sophomore year, which is a late start for most guys. I feel like my coach believed in me early and showed me whatever I can do possible. Rick Rios, he showed me what I can do is possible. Let me explain where I come from. I come from Toledo, Ohio, where, I mean, to be honest with you, that a good salary in Toledo, Ohio is like $60,000. You know what I mean? So it's a small town. A lot of people don't get outside of their box or believe in themselves because they've seen people try before. It doesn't happen for them. So a lot of times, a lot of people will tell you it's impossible and stuff like that. So I feel like where I come from, I lived in an apartment, small apartment with 5 people. I guess that was a little bit of my motivation as well. I don't want to live, I don't want to be sleeping on the floor, and I don't want to have an average job. So I think that was a little bit of my motivation, but I really feel my coach probably was the most motivation because every day he made me watch film. Every day he would take me to college camps that I wouldn't be able to afford to go to, you know what I'm saying? Like the Ohio State camps and all the stuff that was around the area, which would get me exposed more by me going up against better competition. So I would say mostly that. And also after I knew and believed what he was saying, because that's the first thing, that's the hardest part, definitely for kids from the hood, believing what people are telling you, actually putting the effort towards it, or not being lazy or giving your all. Sometimes you have a lot of people tell you a lot of things, definitely coming from a lower incoming situation. So you don't really believe a lot. So for me to believe him and believe what his goal was, I took a chance and he took a chance. And I would say that he was probably a lot of inspiration for me because he put me in a lot of situations that I probably wouldn't have been recognized if it wasn't for him. You know, I didn't have cleats. My parents wouldn't be able to get me cleats. My mom was basically a single mom. So with 2 brothers, I couldn't afford cleats. So my coach would give me old cleats. I'll be busting their ass, but I'm playing in some old lineman cleats. So, I mean, those are the type of things that I was going through. And I felt like, you know, at the end of the tunnel, I understand the percentage of a guy making it. You know, it's only 2% of the people that make it in the league, you know, period. It's only 1,300 guys in the NFL. So I just felt like if I apply myself and I take chances and I get outside my box, anything could be possible. That's when I really started believing in myself. Probably definitely when all those college scholarships start coming through. You can't help but believe in yourself. Then you got big time coaches coming to your high school, coming to your house, trying to, you know, coming to my house, apartment. I know goddamn well they don't want to be in there, but you know, they're doing their recruiting. And I feel like that's what really inspired me more.
Absolutely. And before Nathan, you could take the next question, but what, you know, us coming from the city, they used to call it the glass city when we were there, but now they call it the mud and like where
the mud.
So
I've heard both.
You heard both.
Yeah.
So, you know, everything coming up in apartments, you know, 5 people in an apartment, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Who did you look up to? What gave you that sense of hope that you could persevere through those circumstances and to be where you are today? Not only athletically, but everything else that you got going on, which I'm sure you talk about later.
To be honestly, man, I'll be honest with you. I was the kid that wanted to play outside. Like my brother would try to make me do sports. I didn't want to watch no games. I didn't, you know, I mean, I knew who Michael Jordan was. Of course, you're going to love the legends. But as far as like certain players, I mean, I will say I mean, I was a Commanders, but I was a Dallas fan. So watching Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, and Emmitt Smith, those are some of my favorite players growing up. Because I mean, I'm a '90s baby, '80s baby, but I grew up in the '90s when they were prolific. I would say that there wasn't really anyone that really like made me feel like, oh, I want to be like them, or because my mom was a church going lady. She always would say you should never put anyone higher than God. So I feel like that kind of stuck with me. And so I didn't exalt any athlete. I mean, my brother, they took me to games, met Allen Iverson, met Grant Hill, meeting all these great guys. I mean, I was like, it's cool, but I mean, I was never excited, overjoyed about that type of stuff. So I feel like when you do have that kind of respect, but at the same token, you respect yourself and you believe in yourself, as my guy just said, I feel like that's what I did as a kid. I looked at myself as an inspiration. Like, I mean, if I do something that a lot of people never done in Toledo, which there's some guys that went to the league in Toledo, but not a lot of high round ranking guys. I was a second round draft pick. I mean, there's like 2 or 3 other guys that maybe went first round or second round. But other than that, you know, in our city, we don't have a lot of many guys like that. Jim Jackson is always going to be a legend there. Nate Washington now, you know, because he won a Super Bowl. So just, you know, I would really say myself, to be honest.
Absolutely. How about it, Nathan?
What were some of the biggest struggles to like getting to your goals and achieving, whether that was getting to the NFL or getting your first scholarship or winning the national championships, or just later on in life? What were some of your biggest struggles and how did you overcome them?
The biggest struggles for me was the journey, I believe, because I went from Ohio kid, all the way to the West Coast by myself. I don't have any family there. I'm getting a stipend for $800 and $700 of that goes to an apartment. So, I mean, the struggle is really the hardest part because you play for this prolific school. You might be doing some great things on the field, but you're still broke and you can't support your family and you don't never know when it's going to end. But really, retrospect, that's just your mind playing tricks on you, because even you being in college for 4 years, that's not too long before you get to your next journey. The only thing you worry about is if I get hurt or if I don't do the right thing. I think the journey, to be honest with you, to answer your question, the journey. It's a long journey to go from high school. And then when you finally sign that to that school, you got another 4 years if you don't leave early. And I think that the worrying about that part. And I got homesick at first. I had to adjust to LA. LA is a different type of beast. You know, you got to find your own type of people. I'm Ohio kids. I'm more Midwest. People in LA can be fake sometimes. But I feel like once I adjusted and got my life on the path and got good people around me, a good circle of people, it made it easier. So I wasn't really worried about the journey anymore. I just was worried about, you know, when is this going to happen, I guess. Yeah.
Kristin, how about it?
All right. I guess on adversity, I guess, have you learned anything about yourself due to your struggles or your hardships, or how have they shaped you into who you are right now?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm 36 now. I mean, who I was at 19, 20, 21 is a different person for sure. I mean, I'm an outgoing person. I like to laugh. I like to joke. So I really feel like, repeat that last part you said.
How have your struggles shaped you into the person you are?
Right. I would say that it shaped me because I learned from my mistakes. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I've learned from every mistake, but I think learning from your mistakes is an important thing, and watching others so you don't have to make those mistakes. Over time, there's always going to be some adversity. There's always going to be some situation where you got to make a choice and a decision, and that could be your last choice or decision, depending on what you do or how bad it is, you know? So I feel like those things kind of formed me to, because I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I never got in trouble in the league. When I first got in NFL, I had an ego. I mean, I came from USC, and I felt like I was big shit. So, I mean, when I first got in the league, I feel like the adversity was high because there's a lot of expectations when an NFL team gives you money, definitely when they draft you second round. I mean, I missed the third day of rookie camp, so a lot of guys would get cut for that. I think just understanding the responsibility that you're given. And sometimes when you're immature and young and you give a kid, you know, I was making about $5 million a year, you giving me that, and, you know, and I never had anything, I'm going to make some mistakes. Hopefully not a mistake that's so bad that's going to end my life, put me in jail, or put me in a bad situation. But I feel like those things really molded me. getting around guys that are older, that were because when you go to college, you're with kids. All of us are kids. The oldest guy on the team might be 21. You're not gonna respect him. So I feel like when you get to the NFL, it's a big difference. The rookies, yeah, they're young, but there's veterans on the team. There's guys that don't want to joke around like that. There's guys that take the shit serious. So I feel like you learn from those situations. You put yourself around people like that, and you actually have a different perspective.
No, awesome. And, coming from the mud, the Glass City, to what made you decide to go out to USC? I know the pressure from being a Buckeye. I'm sure Miami, I think it was Oklahoma, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. My top 5 was Ohio State, Miami, Oklahoma, Michigan, and USC. And I took all my visits. I wanted to get the real experience so I could know what college I really wanted to go to. And I ain't lie, Ohio State was like, I was gonna go to Ohio State, but I realized something. The person that I was, being close to home wasn't good for me. For all my friends to be able to have access to me while I'm trying to focus, or to put myself in positions like that. So when I went to California, I know a lot of guys ain't paying for no trip out there, but also like I got to California, Coach Carroll just sold me on a dream, which really came true. And I felt like, to me, for my life, getting away from my hometown and experiencing something different and getting outside the box and taking a chance was probably better for me, which it turned out pretty good. I don't know what would happen if I would have went to Ohio State. Maybe I wouldn't have made it. Maybe I would have. Maybe I would have went home too much. Because, when you go through those moments as a kid, it's kind of hard for me to get on a plane and go home when I don't have a lot of money. My people don't have a lot of money, so I got to stay in my situation. So for me, I needed something like that where I had to stay where I was at in my situation.
And Ben and Nathan, you got the next question. But Ben, how did you adjust to stardom? I know in high school or growing up, like I said, you're All-American. You was, like I said, you was that guy, and it was salute. But you will always be so humble. Like I said, I remember you going away for school. You came back home that summer. I remember we was out at Bowser. I was out at Bowser for something, and you was showing your ring. You came back so humble. You never forgot where you came from. You was always the dude. You left. We never seen you, but when we did see you, like I said, even to this day, if I talk to you in a while, you're still humble. You're a humble dude to achieve the levels that you have.
Thank you, Myron. But I haven't always been so humble, man. There's times that I've been definitely a fucked up person, But there's people in your life that will tell you about that and get you back in your position. Like I said, coming back to Toledo, it's always like, give you a different perspective, like what people are doing, what they're going through, what people are still doing the same things, maybe a little bit different, but much hasn't changed, you know what I mean? But also it gives you back to your roots and where you came from and why you were who you were and where you come from. I feel like that's important because a lot of guys will move, go to LA, go to DC where I'm at, or never come back home and never really get back to their roots. So now they're creating another life, which is okay. But at the same token, I still feel you should know who you are and where you come from. So, yeah.
I love it. Respect that. Go ahead, Nathan.
How was like playing at a legendary college, USC, and like a legendary time period of that time at UNC football? How was that? And when was like your first moment coming in as an 18-year-old kid? When was like the first hard moment in your first year when you realized you really had to grind to get to the NFL and really had to work?
Good question, big dog. I played on a crazy team, man, with all Americans. You got Reggie Bush, you got Matt Leinart, you got John David Booty, Mark Sanchez, all these guys. So if you come in, you're gonna be a backup right away, unless you were Reggie. You know what I mean? I played with Lindale White, Clay Matthews, Ray Monaluga. I think the hardest part was when I first came to USC and I started lifting weights my freshman year. And I came in as a receiver, like one of the top 3 receivers in the country. And I moved my position at tight end. I think that was the hardest thing to do because I never blocked with my hand in the dirt before. I got really big. I went from like 215 to 245 real quick because I never lifted weights like that before. And I also graduated early. So I went to USC early. So I was there like a semester before everybody because I wanted to get extra work in, which I kind of regret doing because I should experience my like prime and all that. But it all worked itself out. I think that was probably the biggest thing. And it's just different when you go to a school like that that's prolific. They have expectations that's high. I mean, O.J. Simpson played there. You got Junior Seau, Keyshawn Johnson, all of these legends. So there's a high expectation. I think my first year I got down on myself because I didn't feel really good. I didn't want to change the tight end, but then I did because my coach told me, you know what, I know you don't want to do this, but you will be a great tight end. You will be one of the best to come out of here. And even still to this day, I'm the only person to win the Mackey Award at USC, period, ever. not even before me. So it's like, for that to be, and like I really am very happy about that. But the first part of my first year, I won't lie to you, I've cried, talked about transferring. I hate this school. I don't want to be here. But that's just being when you're a kid and you don't know what's going on, and it's kind of hard for you to be mature in those moments. So I'm glad I stuck with it. I gave it all my effort. My sophomore year picked up for me, got touchdowns that year, started getting a lot more playing time. And then my junior year just took off, and my senior year was just, it was just the best one. Yeah. And the experience there, being in LA, and when you're winning in LA, and there was no NFL team at this time, we were the NFL team. So a lot of celebrities would show up, Snoop Dogg, Britney Spears, you name it, So it was just a good experience and it was something I feel I wouldn't have got at Ohio State for sure. But, it was a good experience. And I feel like that was probably my hardship my freshman year.
Oh, you got another question, Nathan?
I guess to follow up, how was playing for Pete Carroll?
It was fun. Pete Carroll is one of the most funnest coaches I've ever played for. He likes to keep energy, you know what I mean? He likes to make you believe, that football's fun, not like a job. Like, he'll bring like people like Will Ferrell in to do comedy. Like, he just always keeps you on your toes with entertainment, because he doesn't want you just thinking like, oh, I gotta go play, I gotta practice, I gotta play a game. He's gonna have somebody at practice. He's gonna have Snoop Dogg running routes with us. That's just the type of guy he is. So for me, it was a fun experience, Coach Carroll's a great guy. He's good at what he does. He's good at what he sells. But at the end of the day, he's still a coach. So he's doing what he needs to do to win, obviously. But he has, that's what worked for him. And from the guys that I know that played in Seattle with him, it's exactly what he did there, which is really hard to do, because when you go in NFL locker room, like I said, you're dealing with grown men. You're not going to get every grown man to say, yay, let's go. So for him to be able to do that, with grown men, that just shows you what type of coach he is. He has that type of energy.
That's awesome. Kristin, have at it, man. This is great insight. Like I said, I'm sure you may be used to it, but this stuff is.
Nah, it's cool, man. You guys are asking good questions. I haven't really thought about some of those questions y'all asked me, actually, my inspiration and all that stuff. Like, these are good questions.
You loving it. Have at it, Kristin. You ask the next two.
Oh, okay. I guess you kind of touched on a little bit, I guess, but I was gonna say, like, do you think that your surroundings affect your success, if you know what I mean?
My surroundings were like more detailed with like my friends, like the stuff that I'm doing. I mean, of course, because what comes with success, I mean, more money, more problems, You're going to get more fake people that want to be in your circle. You're going to get more people that want to attract to your energy. When you guys become successful, even though, I mean, you guys might be successful on a big, big level, which I think you guys will be. But when you guys go through that, you're going to see, that there's going to be a lot of people trying to get in your circle. And I feel like when you're immature, you do let some people in and you have bad experiences and you want to have a forgiving heart. But I feel like clearing your circle out and having some alone time and making your own thoughts, because sometimes when you hang out with so many people, you can be like them sometimes, or they can rub off on you, or they can put you in a bad situation, which has happened to me, a few times. But luckily, it was never anything too big or bad that would end my career or in my life. So I would say just always controlling your environment. I mean, when you're going to buy fancy cars, or Rolls Royces and all this shit, buying big houses, there's always going to be somebody that wants to take it from you. And it's usually the people that are closest to you, which is sad. But.
And then I guess for anybody who's struggling with their difficulties or their misfortune right now, do you have any advice for them who are trying to overcome it and trying to push through, trying to keep to their goal? You know what I mean?
Not speaking negativity, pushing positive energy. I know that's cliche, but I feel like words are power. Putting yourself around the right people. I mean, if you're depressed, why would you go hang out with 3 more people that's depressed? That don't make sense. How you hang out with somebody that, I mean, you can look up to or be better than you. I feel like a lot of times people want to be on the same level as somebody else so they can make themselves feel good, which I've done that before. I've hung out with some people that were deadbeats just because I wanted to feel good about myself. And those type of things, those situations, I feel like you need to separate yourself. That's my main thing. I feel like separate yourself, speak positivity over your life, and just keep believing. Now, I will say everybody's not gonna make it. Everybody's not gonna get the same outcome. But if you make 200,000 in your life, 200,000 in a career, that's still good. Maybe it wasn't meant for you to make 3, 4, 5, 6 million. You know what I mean? Sometimes we got to be happy with what we have and then go from there. I feel like that's because I feel like everybody gets depressed and you get in the hole. You're looking at other people's lives like, why isn't my life like this? But your life could be worse.
Great. And I have a question. This is a two-part question. The first question is a lot of people want to know, what did you buy with your first paycheck? That's the first part of the question. And the second part of it, does money truly create happiness?
First thing I bought, I never had a car in my life, so I bought a Benz and I bought my mom a BMW with a bow on it, and bought my brother like a truck, and I bought a house. Those are the first purchases I bought. So that's an easy, like 600,000 up the top. And your second question was what? What was your second question?
Does money truly bring more happiness? Bring more happiness?
This is a good question because a lot of people will give you different answers. I feel like it creates fake happiness. It creates happiness for the moment. It's not happiness that will last. Who's not going to feel good spending money? I mean, it always feels good. You can take care of your people. You can take care of your friends. You can take care of yourself and not have no worries. That's always going to make you happy. I mean, you get depressed when you can't do those things, when you can't eat tomorrow or when you can't pay your rent. So yeah, do I think it creates happiness? At some extent, but it's not true joy. I feel like you're not going to always be happy. Like I said, making a lot of money and being in power and position comes with a lot of things, like your family, your people, other people, and whoever that person is giving you that check. You got to do whatever possible to make sure they're happy so you can keep getting that check. So I feel like the pressure is worth it, but true happiness, I don't know about true happiness. I'll just say it gives you happiness for the moment.
Great. And my other question would be, what does success mean to you? If, like I said, that's a question. What does success mean to you now that you've been able to be an All-American? You've been able to have the fame, the fortune. I'm sure the ladies come with that. What is success to you now at 36, 37-year-old?
Success to me is doing all those things that I did in my past and sustaining it, being able to sustain what I've done, not be a statistic, go broke, not be one of those guys that don't create another stream of revenue or don't create another consciousness after being an athlete. Because the hardest thing for most guys is when they get done playing, they got to figure out their self-worth again because they're used to getting their ass kissed and they're used to having everything put at their feet. But once this sport, this game is called not for long, NBA, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. They're always going to bring the next person and they're going to cheer him on. So you will feel a little bit like, damn, did they ever care about me? Which they probably did or didn't, who cares? But you got to find self-worth in yourself. And I feel like that's success to me. And also, like I just said, not falling off the rocker and being able to sustain what you did, sustain what you have, and be able to create more.
And that's awesome. That's awesome. And I got another question, but Nathan, go ahead, have at it.
So now with your playing days over, how has everything you learned throughout your whole entire football career impacted and influenced you to what you do on a daily basis, and how has it shaped you into the person you are today?
I think after you get done playing, I think for me it's more with kids. I feel like giving back to the youth because they're the future, and I feel like from what I've learned from my mistakes, and I feel like of course everybody has regrets and they want to go back and change something, but it's not meant to be that way. I feel like giving back to the youth, to be honest with you. The charitable stuff, I don't even take cameras to do most of the time. I do it because I care about what I do and I like doing it. And it's fun to see kids smile. It's fun to see kids acknowledge what you're giving them. Not saying all of them listen, but if you get one kid to listen to you, that's you already won right there. And your second question, brother?
I guess what life lessons have you learned in football that you've been able to use in your life now?
Patience, because I feel like football and sports, well, football definitely teaches you patience because you want everything to come to you right now. And I feel like in life, that's a good thing to learn. And camaraderie. I feel like camaraderie is another thing. Like you have to have, like I said, good people in your circle. And I feel like if you have those things, and for me, learning patience because I always want something right now. I want to be started right now. I want to make my money right now. But sometimes things come to people that wait. Good things, great things come to people that wait. Sometimes you got to just take your time. Don't always live in the moment. Be patient. I feel like that's something I learned.
Awesome, I love it. And Kristin, you can ask the next question or two, and then we'll enter our final segment, which is our family time segment. But Kristin, have at it.
I guess when you were like teenage years, like 15 to 17 type age, what was your, like, what were your struggles? Because you have different struggles from different ages. They vary.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your number one struggle in that gap leading up to your career? You know what I mean?
You have a lot of struggles. I think when I was probably, I would say more that 15, 16 age, my struggles were because 17 and 18, those were the best years in high school. Like I said, like when you have success and you do it at a high level, and I was ranked high in the country, All-American, Gatorade player, you get a lot of attention. So you really start to believe the hype. So those moments, it's everybody's trying to take you out, everybody trying to get you some food, and people trying to buy you Jordans. I ain't never had Jordans till my junior year in high school. So I mean, where I come from, I never had those things. I think from 15 to 16, I was most depressed because I didn't know how to fit in, to be honest with you. I was a shy kid. I didn't talk a lot my freshman year. I didn't have many friends that went to my high school. I didn't know anybody. I went to a private school before I went to Rogers. So for me, I wasn't going to school with none of my friends, nobody I knew. So, it's just starting over as a new kid on the block. I feel like that's kind of always scary, I guess. And not really having the clothes to go to school like that to impress, seeing other kids that look fly, and you're like, damn, I wish I could be like that. And then I would just say, like, yeah, that's the main thing. But to be honest with you, I never really cared too much at that moment because I still had my other friends that I would go see in the suburbs, and I hang out with them, and then I'll come back to the hood. So for me, I had moments where it definitely was kind of like every kid goes through some kind of depression or anxiety. Like, man, what am I gonna do? I feel like when I was 15 as a freshman, I feel like since I didn't play football that year, and I didn't play any sports except for basketball, I feel like that was my main thing. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do in high school? What am I gonna do after this? And I feel like that was probably like the hardest thing for me.
Awesome. Now, as you know, from being a former student athlete, teamwork makes the dream work. And this show wouldn't be able to happen without our producer. So I like to bring him on. He's a UCLA fan, so don't mind him, Mr. Philip Jones. Philip, please come on and introduce yourself and ask any questions you have for Fred.
What's up, B-Dog?
Well, first off, Mr. Davis, it's a pleasure to meet you.
You as well.
I grew up down the street from USC on
You did?
Hobart, right off Western and 42nd. So,
Shoot. Oh, man.
I was,
you was out there. You was in the trench, yeah, boy.
Yeah.
I know about that.
I was there.
Around somebody with a Martin Luther King street, you know what time it is.
Right.
Yeah. But that's what's up, though, man.
But I was going to ask you a question about USC, and you said something earlier about you wishing you'd have went to prom and all that stuff. And
yeah,
my dad coached college football for 8 years. I played with D1 players and everything like that. And most of them had to go the JC route. And even them going on that route, they took that semester before to get into school and go to practice. So never second guess that decision because it was probably one of the best decisions you ever made in your life.
Probably, and I would say to that point, like, I think that in my mind, I didn't like it because I didn't get what I felt I should have got out of it. Like I felt if I went early, I should have been starting right away. But again, that's my ego. And you're right. I mean, I feel like that extra time, me being there before all the other freshmen get there and seeing how a program really works. My school was, we didn't have that type of balance and program structure. You know what I mean? We didn't have really good coaches teaching us how to do. So I had to relearn a lot of things about football, leverage, route running. When I first got there, I mean, all I ran was, throw the ball deep, go in the post, run the ball, running back, then play defense. I mean, so
Right.
for me, that's what it was. And I feel like you might be right about that, but I think when you're young, you just think back like, man, maybe I should have came in with my rookie class, learned together, because I feel like a coach is going to have way more expectation when you definitely come early. And if they see that immaturity in you early, which I feel I was, you can kind of get put on the back burner. And I feel like that's the reason why I was saying it. For real.
I got you. Well, appreciate your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely. And so in closing, once again, Fred, like I said, I appreciate you, man. We appreciate you, like I said.
Thank you.
We don't take it for granted. I just got another question, and everyone else can ask another one, and then we'll close off with you giving some words of wisdom. We ended with words of wisdom to the kids. But so how was your transition now from the NFL? How was it from the league to back to I guess not regular life, but back to
basically regular life. Yeah. Regular life, but not regular life. You know what I mean? It's like it's more like you got, like I said, you got to transition. You got to figure out what's important to you. Hopefully, you did the right things with your money. Save, did some bonds, annuities, get some interest off your money. Make the right decision with your. If you do those things, I feel it gives you more of an advantage when you get out of the league, because then now you can decide like, yo, what do I really, really want to do? And I think for a couple of years after I got out of the league, I was trying to figure it out. So I was just more like, what do I really want to do? And doing charities, doing events that I get paid for. What I'm saying? I feel like I'm an outgoing person. I like to talk to people. I'm an outrovert, so I feel like that was good for me. And it has worked out for me. I mean, I'm in a lot of different business deals, real estate wise, IT stuff. I really feel like, just putting myself in a melting pot around all different type of people, not just my own culture, other races as well, put me in a good position.
Awesome.
So I didn't have to really struggle like that or think about like, damn, what am I really going to do next?
Awesome. Kristin, ask your last question, Nathan, and we'll close it up.
Do you have any regret from all the experience you've had, all the events you've been to, from personal to business? You regret you've done?
Of course. Oh man, plenty of regrets. Bad business decisions, trusting in friends, spending money on friends, giving them endless leeway. Me making bad choices with money, of course. I mean, I would be honest, I made a good amount of money. One time my financial advisor called me and told me how much I was spending in each of these cities, because I would go to Miami for off season, I'll be in LA, I'll be in DC partying in the off season. And he's like, if you live this lifestyle, you're not gonna have no money, man. You're spending $300,000 here, $400,000 here. So I think more just there's a lot of regrets. I mean, because I feel like you ask this question to anybody, they're always gonna say regrets. But then again, it wouldn't mold me who I am now. It wouldn't put me through the things that I had to see. Because if everything was just so easy for me, definitely for me as a person, I feel I would take it for granted. I have to have some hardships. I have to have some things happen. It just had to, I feel like.
Yep.
How about it, Nathan?
What advice or like words of encouragement or motivation would you give to young athletes, whether they're like just starting their career in high school or in middle school, and they're trying to succeed or get a collegiate scholarship, or they want to be a professional player like you did?
First thing I'll be honest with, I tell kids, and I'll be honest, really frank with them, because I like to be real with kids, I tell kids, like, to be honest, like half of the kids, you should enjoy every moment, because half of you guys are not going to make it. That's just the reality of it. if you're not doing your schoolwork, if you're not taking things serious, you're not gonna make it. I always tell them, how many LeBron James and Michael Jordans do y'all think is in jail or running or walking around the street? It's a lot of them. A lot of them. There's a gang of Michael Jordans, LeBron James in jail or at a job where they used to be somebody, had a 50-inch vertical in high school, but they couldn't get it right. See, it's not about who's the best athlete all the time. It's about who can do everything. The mental aspect, schoolwork, the right decisions all the time, because you're always being watched. So it's hard to do all those things. So that's what I try to reiterate to children and the kids, because if they don't hear that, then I mean, I'm not gonna just tell you the path is golden, everything's gonna be all right. You just believe in yourself. No, you're gonna have to really work. And not only that, you're gonna have to work hard, you're gonna have to work harder than the next man, then you have to do more. And then you have to do schoolwork. And then you're gonna have to, because if you don't pass your SAT or ACT, depending on what school you go to, how you gonna make it there? If you don't have the right grade point average, you can't go to school. So I always tell kids that's my main thing.
I love it. I love it. And I have two more questions. Like I said, we could do this all day. We might have to have a part two, but let me ask you this. Because like I said, I used to live vicariously through you. I'd be like, it's funny when you used to be at USC in the league. I'm like, man, just a couple of years ago, I seen this big old dude playing safety. I'm trying to figure like, man, how am I gonna get by? How am I gonna get by this dude? He's bigger, he's faster. Man, I'm stuck. But was the NFL everything that you imagined growing up playing for the Redskins back in Toledo? Like I believe you said play for the Redskins. Was the NFL what you imagined once you got there and looking back on it?
What I I just thought you just show up, play good, and everything works itself out. The NFL wants to teach you it's a business, and nobody's bigger than the business. So you got to learn that right away. You come up late to meetings, you're getting fined $20,000. You don't do this, you're getting fined. You overweight, you get fined $1,000 a pound. It's more of a business. It's not like college where you can just do whatever you want and get away with it, or be overweight or not go to class and not get fined. Like in NFL, it's all about a business. Every guy's trying to keep their job. I would say that's probably the one thing that happened. I mean, I thought the NFL was a little bit easier to play in than I thought it would be though over time. Because once I realized that, the important things like putting time in with film and knowing where you're supposed to be, having an advantage over a guy, it makes it very easy, depending on who your quarterback is. But I would say that part, just realizing the NFL is a business. And if you don't do the things right and you have a bad reputation, you can get blackballed. Doesn't matter how good you are. Unless you are LeBron James or some super athlete that's just out of this world, most of the time, they still won't deal with you that long if you don't do the right things. So. Can't hear you, brother.
You're on mute.
Hey, sum up your journey thus far in a few words. From start from the young kid to where you are now. What have your journey been in a few words? And then leave our audience with some words of inspiration. The younger Freds back in Toledo or California, anywhere else that aspire to be where you are, both not only athletics but in general, investing and everything else. What would you encourage them, or that kid in the hospital that realized that they in an apartment with all these people, or they feel like that stuff ain't possible? Like,
okay. To your first question, I would say long, hard, and great. Because it was long and it was a hard journey, but at the end, it's great. At the end of the tunnel, if you do everything right, it's great. You can make things happen. You can influence to people. You can influence people, and just being around people, how happy they see you, if it's fake or not. That's the greatest part of it. That's the greatest part of your job. What I would tell a kid that's coming up now in Toledo or wherever you at, stay on your journey, stay hard, find out what you really want to do and stick to it. I mean, not stick to it, but you might want to change it up a few times. Like I said, I didn't start playing football at 12 or 13. So my thing would be is find out what you really want to do, find out what you're good at too, as well. I mean, anybody, you work hard enough, you can be good at anything, but find out what you're good at. And I feel like that's usually the hardest for a kid to do, because everybody's trying to bring them different ways or put them in different situations. But find out what you're good at, what you like, what you want to work hard towards, and just stay on your path and don't give up. No matter if your journey is for you to go to the junior college, like he said, or you to stay in college all 4 years, or maybe for you to be undrafted. Stay on your journey. Tom Brady, 7th round. Julius Edmonds, 7th round. So just staying on your journey, bro. to be honest.
I love it. Pin drop. And there you have it. The amazing, I say part one because we got to get him on again. The part one of Mr. Fred.
Yeah, next time I'll try to bring a friend with me too, another teammate or something. This is good for sure.
Absolutely.
All right.
You know we appreciate you, and once again, everyone out there, please, like you said, stay driven, stay perseverant, and believe, and you can become anything that you aspire to be in life. He's living proof. I urge you all to go follow us on social media at Why Not Connect, spell YNOTT, and we also encourage you all, why not become a registered organ and tissue donor today? Why not? Thank you, Fred. God bless you.
Man. Appreciate it. God bless you guys.
I am the blacksmith.